Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Tina Yang, and I am the host of the Women's Health and Fertility Podcast. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that touches millions, but is often shrouded in confusion, heartbreak, and a lot of cookie cutter medical advice. Our guest today is a former biology teacher who turned her own grueling 10-round IVF journey into a global mission. She is the host of a top rated infertility podcast, a world renowned consultant, and the author of Kiss Your Baby Sooner. Since 2016, she has been the secret weapon for women struggling to conceive. What makes her different is that she looks not only at one clinic's opinion, but she analyzes thousands of IVF protocols and doctor patterns worldwide to create a repeatable formula that actually works. Whether you're doing IVF or trying to conceive naturally, her mission is simple: fewer miscarriages, fewer rounds of IVF, and higher success rates. Joining us from California to show us how to stop wasting time and start advocating for the family you deserve. Please help me welcome Tasha Blasi. Hello, everybody. I am so thrilled to have Tasha Blasi on my podcast. Tasha and I have known each other probably around 5 years. I was kind of looking back at some of like the dates and things that we've done in the past together. And so I'm just so excited to have you on my second season of my podcast and just learn from you about, all of your IVF expertise and just all the things that you've been doing. So it's a great way to catch up, right? 'Cause it's
Yeah.
been a minute since we've chatted. But I would love to hear a little bit more about like your story, like how it all began for you and how you entered into this world of IVF.
Yes, yes. So good to be here. And I don't have the typical what they call the hero's journey, right? You're in something hard and then you figure it out and then you're like, this is how you do it. I tend to do things the hard way. So I did 10 rounds of IVF myself. And
Incredible.
all right. And I always
Yeah.
say, if somebody starts with that, don't take advice from them because clearly they don't know what they're doing. But it was really, and by the way, I was 33 when I started. I had a we did it for my a male factor, my husband's
Mhm.
male factor. So it didn't make sense why it took 5 years, 9 egg retrievals, 10
Sure.
transfers, four different clinics to have two children. But I do have two children, and it was after that that somebody else came up with the idea that I should be a fertility coach. And I said, well, that's not a
Oh.
thing. This is back in 2016, right?
Sure.
She said, well, make it a thing. And 6 days later, I get let go from my job because new president, CEO come in, they clean house. And I was like, well, that's subtle. And so I decided to be a fertility coach. And it was at first just the mindset, the what questions to ask. I would, help them with little things. But I'm a science nerd, right? I studied biology. I was pre-med. I majored in chemistry and biology, all
I
that
love that. I
crazy
didn't know
stuff.
that about your background.
Yes, yes, big nerd, and I think in formulas. Like formulas to me are very safe. If I could put a formula to things, I'm happy. And so it was 6 years into me being a fertility coach. I would say the more typical fertility coach you hear that
Mhm.
I was like, there is a formula to IVF protocols.
Mhm.
And I think I can do it if I have help. And that was back in, let's say, about 2022. And it took me over a year. Um, I had to lean on the most brilliant IVF doctors that I had ever encountered. I asked them a
Mhm.
million questions and I created the formula to IVF in terms of what factors should go into the priming protocol, or if you even need it. Stimulation dosing, antagonists, if you have it or not, or you should have it, but like the type and when is
Sure.
pretty fixed. And then trigger shot, timing, medication. So everything has a medication, a dosing, a timing, a length. And
Mhm.
it's based on FSH, AMH, AFC, age, menstrual cycle, BMI. There's a real formula to this.
Yeah.
So each piece of the puzzle has a formula, and that's what I discovered. So my
Love that. Yeah.
consulting has turned into really what I call now perfect protocols and exact executions.
Mm.
Um, So I
That's
still do,
incredible,
yeah, I still
Tasha,
do the
because
support, but
yeah, and it
that's
makes a
my
lot of
thing.
sense because you've seen so many protocols over the last decade and you
Yeah.
start identifying patterns.
Yes.
Right. And you see the
And
things that aren't working, you see the things that are working, and
absolutely.
what patient, and of course, every patient is an individual, right? And
Yes.
everyone's unique and different, but there's certain like things that kind of overlap where you start saying, okay, well, that's not going to work for a PCOS patient, or that's
Right.
not going to work for a DOR patient or an endometriosis patient. And yeah, so that's fantastic. I'd love to dive deeper into that for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a formula really based on their specific data points instead of I'm the protocol that I got at 33, right?
Hmm.
300 Gonal-F, 150 Menopur is the same protocol that I see DOR patients get. I see PCOS patients get, and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, this is so irresponsible. I just feel like the industry. And I'm sure you've seen this too. I don't know, but I don't know how much. I know you have all my our same, we have all the same type of clients, but
Sure.
I would say since I started this in 2016, that's when things in IVF started to shift, right? So my
Mhm.
son is 16. So I was doing IVF 17 years ago. That was same protocols, but it wasn't as, and I'm going to say it, profit first as it became in 2016. And they
Mhm.
started doing things that were absolutely profit first, that cannot be patient first. So many examples. One is you're not open every day. And so you're on somebody else's schedule, or
Sure.
they started, you know, they started doing a lot of things. And then I'm starting to see the next shift now, 10 years later, another level of standardization. Okay.
Mhm.
Even more private investors since 2016 have come
That's
into the
right. Yeah.
industry. No business meeting starts with, hey, how do we make less money per patient? How do
Yes.
we make our jobs, obsolete? Like that's just not going to happen.
Right. They're not going to talk about how can we minimize the number of IVF rounds a patient needs to go through to get euploid embryos. No
Right.
one's ever going to talk
Right.
about that.
Or revenue per client, right?
Sure.
With
Hmm.
you have a client, how do you, I mean, it's just business. Um, I mean, not, I think you and I are, we have a business and we are very mission focused. You know, but it's just the
Yeah, and
reality of
it's
it.
I hear you, Tasha. I see that trend and it's very disappointing
Yes.
how it's becoming
And it's,
so
yeah,
corporatized, right?
yes. And this is now, because my clients are in like 20 countries. Europe held out for so long, not not
Yeah.
doing some of these,
Yes. Yes,
not
for
doing
sure.
some of these practices. And then I'm like, oh, they did it. They're all there.
Mm.
But yeah, it's recently my heart has been hurting even more than it usually does as I talk to, people that have spent, I talked to somebody $300,000, no baby, with the list of add-ons and the protocols that were used and I mean, it makes me nauseous sometimes. I feel so much because I know what it feels like to be them. And I know
Hmm.
what it feels like to be successful in literally every area of your life except for the one thing that
Yes.
matters most.
Right.
And so,
Right.
yeah, recently I will say, I'm talking in the last not even 6 months, there's been another level of this is I mean, this is like two middle fingers in the air to you being like, take it or leave it. And by the way, it's still going to be 20 grand or more, and
Hmm.
it's just, oh, yeah. I can't, I feel too much. I need to, I need to,
Well, that this is what makes you good at what you do
oh,
is the empathy that you have for these women that are going through
yeah,
this. And so what advice would you give to women that are trying to assess and evaluate clinics? In Orange County, where I practice, there's a lot of reproductive endocrinologists and
yeah,
infertility specialists. So, I mean, it's a great thing because you have a lot of options. But what advice would you give patients in terms of like what's the best way to discern,
yeah.
a clinic that is ethical and is hopefully patient first?
Yeah. Well, the best thing is if it doesn't feel right, it's not.
Hmm.
I mean, period. You
Yeah,
know,
any red flags, any,
just
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
if they're telling you, let's just say a big one. I would say 80% of the clients that come to me are like, I need egg donor. They're telling me I need an egg donor. Over
Uh-huh.
80%. I
Yes.
would say 2 to 3% ever actually use an egg donor.
Wow.
And so
That's incredible, Tasha.
right. But they
That's
come
great.
to me, thank you. And they come to me saying, this is what I'm told, but I don't feel like I do.
Hmm.
Right. And of course I would never guarantee a pregnancy. I would never guarantee a baby. That is highly irresponsible. But if the goal is, do you want to know for sure you're doing optimized IVF for your biology? I will absolutely tell you, what to do. I will write it out for your doctor, how to present it. We don't tell doctors what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's a
That's
touchy
a
subject, right?
that's a whole other thing. I get that question all the time. We can
Hmm.
go over it if you want. But how do you get doctors what to do? Um, so it's like that's what I'm doing. It's why don't you just try optimized IVF a couple times or once even,
Hmm.
and then make the decision of, yeah, it really is my eggs that are just never going to work for me. But they feel it. And that's why I say if it doesn't feel right, it's not. And if you're following me, you'll hear me talk about non-negotiables when it comes to a clinic, which is they have to be open every day. There has to be communication with a doctor. It
Sure.
should be, it should be, you need to know upfront that there will not be a doctor involved in your care, that it is all going to be with the nurses. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't.
I
Um,
see. Right, right.
yeah.
There's a definite shift in that
Yeah.
direction
Yes.
where you're getting a lot of the care coordination through, nurses or PAs. That's a common trend. And I think, Tasha, before you and I hopped on this podcast, we were talking about, that our avatar patients are the patients that we commonly see and
Mhm.
being in the range of like 38 into the 40s. And like yourself, I hear from time often new patients come in just so upset and crying that their REIs are pushing for the egg donor.
Mhm.
And maybe sometimes it's because they had one failed round. But the interesting thing is that, like you said, that protocol might not have been right for them. And that's why they didn't yield any healthy embryos. But because the doctors thought, okay, well, my typical protocol is not working.
Mhm.
So next, let's do egg donor, And I'm just like, that's just to me, I'm just floored by that because some of these patients have conceived naturally. Some of them are secondary infertility
Yeah. A
patients.
lot of my clients too.
Or
Yeah.
maybe they had a couple losses, so they can get pregnant.
Mhm.
So I feel your frustration because I get that quite a bit in my practice too. But I think the work that you do and what we do as acupuncturists can be so beneficial for those
Yeah.
women that are following their gut and moving through it and going, you know what? No, I'm not ready to give up yet.
Right.
You right?
Right. Yeah. And I would say here's the formula to making healthy embryos. One is the protocol from the start.
Hmm.
Priming or not, what is it? And the dosing from the start. Number two, this is the part that I rarely see done well, if at all, the execution
Mm. Yeah, tell
of
us about that
the
a little bit more.
dosing.
What do you mean by execution?
I see set it and forget it. One dose, maybe they check you monitoring, they don't really
Ah,
do much, and it doesn't change until the trigger shot.
hmm.
In my experience of 10 years studying thousands of protocols, I have never seen one dose throughout make the most healthy embryos. You could get a healthy embryo or two, but I am talking about my clients that go from 7 eggs, 2 blasts. Anybody would say that's amazing. To
Hmm.
7 eggs, 5 blasts,
Amazing. That's
right?
even more amazing.
Right.
Yes.
I just worked with, and this is the same doctor, same clinic, so we're not changing much. And this is usually a month later because they don't want to wait, right?
Right, right.
2 eggs, zero fertilization. To 7 eggs, six fertilization, 4 blasts. right? I just did another one that it was like 16 eggs and she made one blast to, I believe it was again 16 eggs, 8 blasts. It's all on my socials. But the point is, what changed was protocols from the start, execution. And
Mm,
as the results come in, this is the miss. And I don't know if doctors don't know how to do this. I don't know if they don't care to do this. I don't know if they're not allowed to do this. But as some doctors do, this is how I learned this. I
mhm.
can't do IVF. But as the results come in, based on estrogen, which is not always being tracked, and of course, follicle count, which is being tracked, but that is a subjective measurement.
Right.
Based on those two things, should you be staying with the dosing or not? Um, so I have a little trick for my patients or for anybody or for my clients that or anybody who's listening. If you really want to know if it was you or them and you want to know if it's an execution issue, look at the trigger shot day.
Mm,
First of all, you better have gotten your follicles measured that day. I see that skipped a
yes.
lot.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and what is the size of the follicles? Ideally, it's anywhere between 16 and 20 millimeters, with it being bigger if you're younger and smaller if you're older.
Mhm.
And you got there, and the majority, 80% of the follicles are between 16 and 20, but ideally 16 to 19 if you're a little bit older, and 17 to 20 if you're a little bit younger. Yeah, got
Mhm.
that right. Um, Within a minimum of 10 days of growth. So 10 days of growth, 80% of the follicles are in that range. That happened and you didn't make a lot of healthy embryos. Maybe it could be
Maybe it's an
off.
equality issue.
But
Yeah. Mhm.
oftentimes the follicle sizes are all over the
Oh,
place.
yes.
They're triggering on stim day 9. Uh, they don't even get measured the day of the trigger shot.
Yeah.
There's just
That
so many
that
little details that can
that is so
dramatically.
surprising to not be
Yeah.
measured before trigger.
Oh, I see
That's
it all the
just
time. Yeah. I just spoke to somebody yesterday. Um, what country does she live in? I forgot. It's not the States, but I'm seeing this in the States. Uh, 2 monitoring appointments.
that's it.
When you start
Wow.
6 days in, they'll tell you when the trigger shot day is. One dosing throughout, and it
I mean,
hasn't
that's
been
kind of
working.
something you would expect for like an IUI or something, right?
Yeah.
Like
No,
minimum
I know.
monitoring. Yeah, that's
No,
wow.
this is what I'm seeing. This is where it's sad. I'm sad. Oh,
Mm.
and then the third thing that goes into healthy embryos, so starting dose execution, the lab,
Yes,
right?
the
This
lab
is a
makes a
laboratory
huge
science.
difference.
How are they handling,
Hmm.
freezing, thawing, fertilizing, growing, the medium, human error? There's just so much that goes into it. That's not something that if I'm working with someone, I can control, you can control if you're working with someone. But those are the three things that make healthy embryos.
So if a patient's had a couple of rounds, unsuccessful rounds, at what point would you recommend that they go somewhere else?
So I like to see the second round be better than the first. And I would not go more than 3
Yes.
rounds with
Yeah.
somebody, with any doctor or clinic that has not been successful.
Or
So
like no improvement, no change, or not
no.
even changing or touching the protocol. I'm sure you see that a lot where they're
Oh,
just
yes.
doing the
If it's
same thing
not, yeah,
over
if
and
it's
over.
not working, yeah. I know some of those doctors where you live. If it's not, and I'm keeping my mouth shut, no. If it's not working and they're not willing to make change, which is something I've heard of a lot, um, no, no, we're not giving you another $20,000. It's we're going to have the same thing
Yeah.
happen.
I think
But
that's fair. 2 shots at least. If you
yeah,
made progress in that second round and then giving it a third, like that,
uh,
I think that's fair.
yes, yes. But I've also seen at specifically this one place, I need to be careful. The first round is atrocious. The second round is like a little bit better, and it makes no sense because great follicle count. There's no reason why you shouldn't make a lot of healthy embryos, right? Second round is like a little bit better, but then it's like, it's a little bit better, but look at how terrible your egg quality must be.
Hmm.
And then they are, and this is a very expensive clinic, and they are 3 rounds in with very little or nothing to show for it, but there's just an inch of progression each time. And that again hurts my heart because I'm like, oh, you should have never needed more than 1 round of IVF.
Yes. Yeah, I think you and I have a very similar goal. If we can have it done in one cycle, like one and done, and get your beautiful embryos, of course, depending on how many kids you want, that's always the dream.
Of course.
Um,
Yes.
like less is more.
Yeah.
So, but that's really great advice. And so, how do people find out about labs? Like, how do they find
Mm,
out like what's considered a good lab or reputable lab? And
that's hard.
is there a way to
Yeah.
find out?
So that's really hard. I do have in my resources questions to discuss with the doctor, which anybody can get access to. You could just follow me on Instagram, Tasha Blasi, and we will give you, you just DM toolkit, resources. I give away all of my playbooks for free. I give away all my resources for free.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yes. And that question document, as well as so much more, is in the toolkit. So you could just comment toolkit and you'll get it. But
Amazing.
in the
Thank you for that.
toolkit, yes, I have 15 questions to ask your doctor and the answers that I want to hear.
Hmm.
And a lot of them are about the lab. But it's really hard to know if the lab is the issue because there's really not a good way to track it. I know there's SART data. I know that there's cdc.gov. And I do look at cdc.gov if it's in the States and I want to evaluate a clinic. I'm looking at egg donor rates because if you are not successful with an egg donor, like what is,
What happened?
what happened?
Yeah, you're really
I'm
questioning it then, right? You're like,
right. I'm
this
looking
is a
at
20
like
something year old's eggs,
right. And
right?
you're below national average. But national average is abysmal, but that's a whole other thing. Um, all of these third parties, SART is self-reported. Any clinic knows how to make things research, and therefore they don't need to, say that this person was actually a part of their clinic. There's so many ways to do this. So I have a really hard time, knowing just by the third party data. But I will look at cdc.gov. I'll look at how many cases and I'll look at how successful they've been with these cases. If I'm working in another country, I can't evaluate the lab. What I can
Right.
do is really I can evaluate the doctor and how the doctor is going to execute.
Hmm.
And then we get great execution, we get a great number of embryos, and they don't last, or they're always abnormal, or something like that. That's where I'm going to be like, if we really need to know for sure, we got to change labs. That's
Yes.
really rare, though. That's really rare. Ultimately, once you change the protocol and the execution, you tend to see much better
Improvement.
results.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, so we're talking a lot about egg retrieval process. What about on the transfer side of things?
Yes. So that's another one where I feel like I did 10 transfers, right? So I'm so protective of these transfers when I'm going through it. And this is where your world and my world really, I mean, they come in all the time. But this is where I'm going to say, I told you how to make healthy embryos. How to get an embryo to stick and stay depends on 3 things. And that is going to be the embryo. It's perfect. Leave it alone. There's no like, it's perfect. Done. Check. The uterus, anything blocking implantation, typically
Hmm.
a hysteroscopy or a CD138 plasma stain can check for that. And then the third thing is going to be the body. What should be the protocol, the medicine that the body will respond best to?
Sure.
Here's a little secret. I don't like HRT therapy unless you absolutely need it. And most people don't need it, but it's done 90% of the time.
Yes, it is. That's right.
And then the last thing is your body in chronic survival mode?
Hmm.
right? And so this is where the majority of my work, when I'm kind of going through a checklist for my clients on preparing them for a transfer, what protocol should they be discussing with the doctor with proof as to why? And then, because the more strategic questions and you say, what do you think? The more they're just like, yeah, that's fine. And then, and then is the
Right. The more
body
flexible they
accountable?
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. It depends. Some are, but that's very rare. And then the body being in chronic survival mode, this is where, again, if it doesn't feel right, it's not. And just because a doctor is saying, and you'll love this, oh, you don't have a period, it's okay. You can't build up your line naturally. It's okay. You have a thyroid issue and low iron and anemia and PCOS and endometriosis. It's okay. No, it's not okay. Your
No,
body
this
is
is,
literally screaming,
yeah.
right? Right? And listen to it. And so this
Well,
is
this
where,
is what's so frustrating, Tasha. You probably see this a lot is it's like this, I call it the IVF bullet train, where the doctors clearly are seeing signs that there's chronic inflammation,
yeah,
that the body is not ready, but yet they just want to continue along that, that fast train and just keep going. And they still move forward. And I'm like, "Oh, wait, hold on. This is not okay. The patients aren't ready on a mental level, mental emotional level, and on a physical level as well.
and they feel
So,
it.
yes, yes. But then there's that pressure, right? They
Yes,
feel,
and this
patients
is
feel pressured.
I see this all the time, and I tell my clients all the time, if it doesn't feel right, it's not. Meaning, you're not going to lose your entire egg reserve by waiting a month or two
Hmm.
or three. You don't go into menopause and it dries up. Like, trust me, I've been in perimenopause for a long time. It takes
That's
a
right.
long time. But
Yeah. No, you're
it's this
absolutely right.
this fear-based, I hate duo. I hate duo stim where talk about back to back. It will work one of the two. So if
Hmm.
it's worked on the one, don't do the two. If it didn't work on the
Hmm.
one, try the two only, meaning mid-luteal. And not everybody should do mid-luteal, but I'm just saying it's such fear-based practices that
Hmm.
I do believe are profit first and they never work well. And they're like to your point, they're exhausted and they're being told, but look at your egg reserve, look at your AMH.
Yeah,
No,
right.
look
Or
at
you
how
have
you
plenty of
feel.
embryos. Let's just move forward. You'll be
Yes, yes,
fine.
yes.
Well, so what is some of the suggestions that you give your clients for getting out of that survival mode?
I mean, so there's a functional medicine expert on my team, which we will pay for blood work to be done and she'll analyze
Mm.
it. She's board certified. She's going to look at all the clues, symptoms, blood work, and kind of put together what's going on. But it's the things that, I'm sure that you do and teach, which is you got to go back to basics of what our body was meant to do well. And that's how we're going to become the most fertile. So the food, the right way to eat, to sleep, move, breathe, relax, right? And then from there, because of our modern conveniences, we often do have to supplement, right? You're an expert in Chinese herbs. Those are incredible. You see incredible results with your supplements,
Hmm.
right? And so this is where it's like also understand, right? Our bodies don't get the nutrients, the supplements, the energy, right? Your work with acupuncture, you don't get that anymore because of our modern conveniences, but we really need to put those back in if we want our body to do something as natural as being fertile, getting and staying pregnant.
Absolutely. And I love the way you put that because it's one of these things where I commonly will tell patients it's like a reset. Your body needs a reboot. We all have our own inherent self-healing mechanism within us. But because of all the stress and all the different, medical interventions that we're going through, of course, things are thrown off balance. So how do we recalibrate and get you back into alignment where your body can function the way it's supposed to?
Yeah.
in its natural state. And it's very powerful, your natural healing state. So thank you for saying that. And that's
Yeah.
something I encourage patients to definitely take the time with, especially if they've had a successful retrieval and they have a little bit of window of time between the time that they transfer. That's
Mhm.
the ideal opportunity to like nourish themselves and get things back into alignment. Um, but that's wonderful. I'm glad that you have a functional medicine doctor involved in your program because that's huge because we see that in our practice too, where other areas are out of balance, whether it's, your iron, your ferritin, or your thyroid's totally out of whack.
That's the
And
big one.
mhm. So I'm excited to hear about your book. So Kiss Your Baby Sooner is such a great title.
Oh,
So
thanks.
yes, can you tell me, Tasha, about like what was the inspiration for this book for you? And I'm
Yes.
sure it was probably a long time in the making.
Oh my God. It was 5 years in the making. Not that I wrote for 5 years, but first I was doing a book on IVF. Then I was doing a book on for being fertile as naturally fertile as possible. And I decided to do two books in one, right? So this is 460 pages of,
Wow.
right, two books, the book on fertility, the book on IVF. And so basically anyone, anywhere in the process of wanting to get and stay pregnant, one book for the entire process. So the first book on IVF, or excuse me, on fertility, is a lot what we talked about. Going back to
Mhm.
the basics. What does restorative sleep look like? If you can't sleep, what do you do? The supplements, the herbs, things like that. I am not an expert in Chinese herbs. People need to go to you for that. And I'm not really an expert in that. It's just through the 10 years
Mhm.
working with functional medicine experts and other modalities like you, right? I put together kind of everybody everybody should be doing this to be as naturally fertile as possible. And it's simple. It's not easy, but it is simple,
Right,
right?
right.
And then the book on IVF is what I've learned in terms of best practices. Um,
Mhm.
I even kind of go through what needs to happen for you to get pregnant naturally, and because you need to know that even if you're doing IVF, right? And how to prime your uterus, what to know about your uterus. So book on IVF is the second book, and that's just about when you're doing IVF, how to have conversations with the doctor, what to know about the medications. And then I have a whole section on preparing for the transfer. Okay, I'm pregnant. Now, what are we asking for? I go through monitoring cadences and what we're looking for at each stage. So I
I
just put it
love all of
all
this.
in one book, and I cannot believe it's done. It's, I can't believe it's done.
So exciting. Congratulations. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
accomplishment.
Thank
Is
you.
this book available now?
So it launches May 21st,
All
right?
right.
And yeah, go to my socials the day of the launch. We're going to do like a 15-minute launch, like event, right? My publisher wants to do this launch event. It's going to be $1. I'm going
I
to be
love
giving
that.
away like money so you can get money back.
Is this like an ebook form or is it in a
So it's
hard
all
copy?
it's going to be hardcover, paperback, and ebook,
Okay.
but the ebook will
Very
be the
cool.
dollar, right? So just people can on the launch day just get access to it no matter what. But eventually that ebook is going to be $10, right? 9.99, and then
Sure.
I have paperback and hardcover
I
for
love
sure.
that. I will
But,
be there for that event. I'm going to check that out for sure to get a
yay!
copy.
Yeah,
And I think that it sounds like such an all-in-one resource, no matter where a person is on their journey,
yeah,
whether they're trying naturally or they're kind of starting to look into ART. So that's amazing. Thank you for putting that together, Tasha,
of
for our
course,
community. I
of
think it's
course.
much, much needed.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, segue a little bit and talk a little bit more about your program and what that's like and, how does it coincide with your book? Is there a tie-in with your book? And, what are the different offerings that you provide? women?
Yeah, I say the book is kind of foundation. Everybody needs to know this to understand fertility and IVF, right? And then from there, the next thing that this is happening with the launch that people can get, you're going to get access to all my playbooks, right? These are the things where in the past, these are the videos. I do a whole mindset. There's a protocol on, it's called the Spirit Protocol, the mindset exercises, one by one that I'm anxiety prone, right? I'm not depression prone. And so these are the
Mhm.
things that have helped me. The main theme is taming the mean girl living in your head, right?
Taming the mean girl.
We go into a spiral, the what if,
Hmm.
and this is it. So you're going to get the video series. My overall, at the most minimal investment, I want people to have access to what I know. And that's going to be the book, minimal investment, as well as all the playbooks for free.
Hmm.
From there, there is your perfect protocol. And with the book I'm launching, I've never done this before. I am launching the software, which is you plug in your data points. And for a very, very, very low investment, you get your perfect protocol report. And it will
Wow.
tell you
Incredible.
what, yes, this took me a long time. Yeah, this is part of the formula. But what should be priming, stims, all that. So that is going to be at such a minimal investment. All of that is going to be one package. Then it's okay. I want to actually work with you. And I started doing group consulting. I freaking love it. It has become such a
Nice.
great community. Everyone brings me their report, their monitoring reports I love to look at. And
Hmm.
just in a smaller group setting so that it's a little bit more manageable, I go through and I'm teaching not only the people on what I would do, what to just, I read, ask the doctor this, talk to this, da, 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 but everybody's learning and they love it and they're so
Yeah, they learn from
supportive.
each other's
Yes,
cases too.
I love
What's
it
the
so
typical
much.
size of your group?
I mean, right now, this is a new program. My last call was yesterday. There were two people on it, or
Oh,
three,
so it's very
three
intimate.
people,
I
three.
love
Yeah,
that.
very intimate. We're all having I can't guarantee it's going to stay like that, but I am going to add on more days
Hmm.
as the group grows, just, and I also have different time zones, of clients.
Yes, that's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah. And then there's the private consulting, and this is where we're getting on Zoom calls. I'm taking over in terms of I will not get pregnant for you. I draw the line there.
But everything
All
up until
right.
that point. Yeah.
But this is, they have my cell phone as monitoring reports come in. I wake up to monitoring reports and
Mhm.
this is, so it's very hand holding. I take over with them, very high touch one-on-one, and that's the private consulting. I'm hoping most people can just get the group consulting or the protocols, but yeah,
But
if everyone,
this is amazing. You have all these different ways to access help with you, which I love
yeah.
because you have the book, you have the software program. That sounds super
Hmm.
cool. And
Yep.
then you have the group setting too, as well as the individual. And I do understand some patients are really private, so they prefer
Yes.
that route.
Absolutely.
So
And the
that
other
makes
thing
sense.
that is not quite there, but it's really close, so I do this more live, is the calculator on as the results come in, what to discuss with the doctor. So that's
Yes.
90% of the way there. I hope that's going to become kind of like the perfect protocol report. Right now, I have videos on how to execute so that you can learn how I do things. And that's all free. That's all part of the playbooks. But eventually, I want it to be more like the software where you put in your actual results. And then what will come back is, okay, this is what I want you to discuss with the doctor next based on your actual results. So that's the thing that I kind of put off to the side as I finished the book. Um, but yeah, that's
Okay,
in making as
it's
well.
coming up. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
But that's gonna really this is like a major game changer for women going
Yeah.
through IVF because now they'll
That's
know
what I
what to
want.
ask and they won't be intimidated because it's intimidating when you're going through this.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I can't ask my doctor that. So I love that. It's total
Yes.
empowerment.
And I say I teach you how to ask questions. It's basically state the problem, ask what they would do, ask what they think about. You're just learning your options, and
Sure.
then for me, I'll tell them what options to pick, right? But it's never telling a doctor what to do, but it is understanding your options. The key is knowing what options to bring to them because
Right.
oftentimes they'll do the option if you bring it to them, but then it's okay, well, how do I know the option, right? And so with the
Mhm.
perfect protocol, I'm hoping it's a tool to bring options to your doctor.
Absolutely.
And
And a
it's
discussion, right? A
a
discussion of
discussion.
options.
We don't tell the doctor what to do, but
Mhm.
you don't know what to ask. So this is my way of
Mhm.
teaching you what to ask. What do you think about? Right?
Right.
And that's going to, and I know that this is your mission too. My mission, my big mission, which like can make me cry, is I want to reduce infertility, miscarriage rates, rounds of IVF being done worldwide.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's an amazing mission. Tasha, if you were to give advice to women that are in their journey to become a mother, whatever stage they're at, is there any one thing that you would recommend for these
Oh,
women?
so much. You already heard if it doesn't feel right, it's not. And the other thing I would say is you are a mom already. It's an identity. It's something you get to choose.
Absolutely.
How and when and who shows up, we don't get to choose that. And that for us control fanatics, I don't know if there's anyone else out there that is. I definitely
Most everybody. Yes.
for those do-it-yourselfer control fanatics, that's it's a hard concept, but if you put it back on the perfect child will show up at the perfect time. And
Mm,
as the mom, just have open arms, no
yes.
expectations on exactly how or when or who. And not only is that the best lesson in parenting, but it allows you to say, I will be a mom and I'm open to how this child wants to show up. So
Yes,
it's
I trust.
not so much on you.
Hmm. And just trusting the timing of it and the process.
Take action, take action, take different action, pivot. But when people are so laser focused on exactly
Mhm.
when and how this process should happen, that is kind of closing the door on what this child may be wanting to do instead.
Hmm. That's right. I agree. Spirit babies.
Yes.
They rule. They really do. They rule the
Yes.
time and they rule all of it.
Yes.
Tasha,
And
thank
what
you.
will, yeah, and what will show
Yes,
up will be even better than you ever dreamed. And
that is
I
so
don't
true.
care whose DNA it is. I don't, at some point I didn't even care if my children were going to be human species, just like literally like make this go away. I'll take anything. But it really is the perfect child will show up at the perfect time. And it will be, even if it's not your DNA, it will be more your child than anyone else's. That's what I've that's what I see all the time. And that's the
Amen.
only time I get to tell my clients I told you so. So,
Tasha, any upcoming events for
well,
you?
just the book launch, right?
Okay,
The book launch
that's
is
a
is
huge
a
one.
big one coming up. And yeah, just follow me, Tasha Blasi at Tasha Blasi on Instagram. I'm in the DMs. I that's my main posting. I do post on YouTube, right? And I have a podcast, IVF Uncovered. Definitely check that
Yes,
out for great advice on IVF. I've had many people tell me they're pregnant because of that podcast
love that.
with their IVF. Clearly, they're saying you too. So yeah, I would just say follow me, and you're going to see what I'm coming up with to help my mission to,
Perfect.
to make all this go away really quickly, and then you just get to kiss your baby sooner.
Oh, I love that. And I can't wait to read your book.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again, Tasha, for your time. And it's been an honor to have you on my podcast.
Yes,
And
so
I'm
good to
looking forward to continuing to co-treat with you and helping all of these wonderful women. So
Yeah.
thank you,
Well, thank
Tasha.
you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks.